Hi guys, Jeff's here, and today we're looking at exploitation films that got banned. And when I say banned, I mean completely blacklisted. Some of these movies got pulled right out of theaters, some got cut to pieces, others you couldn't legally watch for years. We're going through 7 movies like that, 7 exploitation films you'll probably never see happen again. Let's get started. So we've got 2 teenage girls. They head into the city, they're gonna see a rock concert, but instead they end up kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by these total psychopaths. Then their parents find out and, of course, take revenge, just as violently. Now, this movie wasn't just controversial. It got banned, completely banned. In the UK, they put it right on the video nasty list. Wouldn't even allow a cut version to come out until 2008. Wes Craven, who directed this, said he never expected this kind of reaction. People were throwing up, passing out. Someone apparently had a heart attack right there in the theater. And then you've got Tarantino saying this is literally the only film he couldn't finish watching. He got up and left the drive-in halfway through. And yet, now it's on his own list of greatest exploitation films ever made. At the time, Wes Craven was this college professor editing adult videos on the side. He'd never made a horror film, had no money, no real experience, nothing. But he takes 87 grand, shoots it on cheap 16mm film, uses real locations, amateur actors, and somehow turns it into one of the most notorious horror movies ever. This one started off with an X rating, and when you watch it, you can totally tell Tarantino grabbed some ideas from it. Basically, you've got this young actress, right, and she gets killed during some weird erotic game set up by this creepy exploitation director. Now, the actress also has a lover, another producer, and this woman decides she wants revenge. So what does she do? Finds a new actress, sets her up as bait, and goes after the guy who killed her girlfriend. It's one of those early sexploitation movies. And get this, it was co-written by Oliver Stone way before he was famous. Back then, Stone was just desperate, doing anything to break into movies. He even produced it himself. But of course, years later, once he made it big, Stone completely refused to admit this film ever existed. This one's probably the most infamous exploitation movie ever made. Banned pretty much everywhere, Germany, Australia, a whole bunch of other countries, but it still somehow got multiple sequels. You've got Diane Thorne playing Ilsa, this crazy Nazi camp boss who spends her time doing these twisted experiments to prove women can take more pain than men. And when she isn't busy torturing prisoners, she's basically using them however she wants, and if they don't keep her happy, she throws them away like garbage. The film is packed with every nasty exploitation trick in the book. Women in prison stuff, Nazi fetish imagery, tons of violence, non-stop nudity. It's actually famous for being absolutely shameless. In fact, it got so infamous, some people who worked on it actually tried to sue to get their names taken out of the credits. Didn't matter though. The film blew up anyway, ended up making millions on a budget of only about $150,000. Long before women in prison movies turned into predictable late-night cable filler, there was Caged Heat. This is basically the original, the movie that created the whole formula. You have the twisted female warden, the creepy doctor doing messed-up experiments on the inmates, prisoners finally pushed too far and fighting back. Everything's here. Shower scenes, cat fights, escape attempts, all of it. But here's what's interesting. This wasn't just directed by some exploitation nobody. It was made by a young Jonathan Demme, the same guy who later won Oscars for Silence of the Lambs. Back then, Demme was stuck working for Roger Corman, who always demanded the same thing: more nudity, more violence, more sadism. Demme gave him exactly what he wanted, sure. But anyway, this movie basically started Demme's career, took him out of exploitation films, and eventually landed him right in the heart of Hollywood. This is the movie that made Pam Grier a star. She's a nurse who decides she's had enough after her sister gets hooked on drugs. So she starts going after dealers, taking them down one by one. It begins like your basic revenge story, but then it becomes something bigger. It talks about poverty, race, how drugs can rip through whole neighborhoods. Yeah, it's still exploitation. You get nudity, violence, all the regular stuff, but it's not dumb. It's got something extra. At the box office, it actually did really well. Made just over $4 million on a tiny budget, which was big money for a blaxploitation film back then. Tarantino's always loved this one. He says it's got this special kind of violent power, like the audience completely loses it, and by the end, they're literally screaming for blood. If we're talking exploitation movies, Russ Meyer is right at the top, and Super Vixens might be his wildest movie ever. Forget about getting an MPAA rating. This one wasn't even close. Way too much nudity, way too explicit for 75. They couldn't even show this movie in certain American cities because people complained about it that much. There's barely even a story. You've got this gas station guy who gets framed for murder, ends up on the run, and somehow just keeps running into one completely crazy character after another. And of course, because it's Russ Meyer, pretty much every woman he meets is topless. Or about to be. Meyer spent around $750,000 making this thing, even put some of his own money into it. And he did whatever he wanted. No studio checking up on him, no script approval, nothing. Just a movie full of car explosions, fights, and naked people. And he knew exactly what he was doing, pushing the whole exploitation thing as far as it could possibly go back then. By the way, the main guy in this, same actor who was that sleazy bureaucrat Murdoch from Rambo 2, fits pretty well, to be honest. Can't do exploitation without mentioning I Spit on Your Grave. This movie is legendary, basically the definition of infamous. Originally, they called it Day of the Woman. It's about a young writer, played by Camille Keaton, who goes off into the countryside, gets attacked by this gang of guys, and basically left for dead. But she's not dead, and from that point on, the whole rest of the movie is just her getting even, one brutal revenge after another. The director, Mir Zarchi, said he got the idea after personally helping a real assault victim. Watching it, you can kind of tell he wasn't interested in making anything nice or easy. It's exactly the kind of ugly, violent exploitation film you'd expect from the 70s grindhouse era. Critics went absolutely crazy. Roger Ebert straight up called it a vile bag of garbage. It got banned everywhere. Australia, Norway, Ireland. Even the UK banned it, unbanned it, then banned it again. But none of that stopped people from seeing it. It ended up making over $5 million bucks, off a budget of like $650,000. That's exactly how exploitation works. More people freak out, more people want to see it.